recorded.
We've already received an apology from the chairperson that she has been booked off. Any other apology? Nicolette or Babalo?
Honorable Chairperson, we have not received any additional apologies.
Thanks very much. Honorable members, the meeting is was scheduled to start at 8, and the budgeted time is from 8 to 10. But it won't kill anybody if we finish before 10. I know that after 10, there are members who are traveling. Therefore, let's be businesslike to make sure that the latest by 10, we are done with our meeting.
Good morning. Who's chairing this meeting this morning?
Person who's chairing is Honorable Seabi.
Please don't start 2023 wrongly.
Honorable Boni Maregwa.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good morning. Thank you, Chair. Good morning to all the members on the platform. Just for formalities, as much as the apology of the Chairperson has been mentioned or announced, I just wanted to move.
Nicolette, can we go ahead with electing an acting chair?
Aibo.
Honorable, please keep order in this meeting, please.
Honorable Groenewald. Honorable Groenewald.
I want the Chairperson for formalities to move for the acceptance of the apology of the Chairperson so that it reflects on the minutes that it was moved and seconded. I'm moving for acceptance. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Boni. And I see Honorable Moss is seconding. Let's continue. The main purpose of the meeting is to receive a presentation from the minister on the issue.
Chairperson.
Yes, Honorable Moss.
Chairperson, I raise my hand because where I sit, I get a feeling the meeting is a little bit demarcated. People log in without putting up their hand, they just speak. Can we just have order, please?
Thanks very much, Honorable Moss. Thanks very much. Can I call upon the minister? Minister, with your team, we are in your hands.
Good morning, Chairperson. Good morning, the honorable members. Am I audible? Can you hear me well, the chair and the portfolio committee members?
Yes, we can hear you, Minister.
Thank you very much. I don't know if this has been fixed, General Skukun. I don't know if it has been fixed because it looks like the host, Mamalwa, looks like is not linked. So she has rights of the meeting. Therefore, it looks like the presentation can be mounted.
Nicolette, are you able to assist?
I'm told that maybe if you give us the hosting rights, can you tap and mount? Yes, can mount. But from your side, from the committee, looks like you can't mount unless you give us hosting rights.
Nicolette, are you able to assist?
Honorable Chairperson, I have given the Minister's Office co-hosting rights.
Or you have given them hosting rights?
Yes, Chair.
Yeah, I see the POCC Western Cape is a co-host, Minister.
Thank you very much, Jonas Kukun. Then you can on. Chairperson, as they deal with those difficulties, we are here in Western Cape with the Deputy Minister and in the management of the South African Police, the Judicial Commissioner and the Deputy is here, the Provincial Commissioners are here, Divisional Commissioners are here. We're all in one room to request that General Kukun will make the presentation and we'll take it from there with those statistics. Indeed, we requested that, or we have agreed that it's up to 10, but as we have said, if it is area, it's fine, because we still have to go and finalize our preparation for presentation and answer the question. I don't know if I can proceed now and request that the General School will take us through on the actual presentation chance. Chair, are you there?
Yes, Minister. He can continue.
Thank you. General Kukun will be taking us through, Chairperson. Thank you very much, General Kukun.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Can I confirm that my presentation is visible on your site and I'm audible? Confirmation that the presentation is visible and I'm audible, please.
Yes, the presentation is visible and you are audible. Continue, General.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Thank you, Honorable members of the Portfolio Committee, the Minister of Police, the DM, National Commissioner, and the colleagues. I'll be taking you through the police recorded crime statistics for the Q3, covering the period of the 1st of October 2022 up to December 2022. I'll go straight into the table, which gives us a summary of the crime that had been brought to the attention of the police within this current quarter. Looking at the contact crimes, we have recorded 7,555 murders in the current quarter. That is an increase of 696. We again had 15,545 sexual offenses, an increase of 1,357. Attempted murder, we had 7,016, an increase of 1,371. Assault GBH, we had 50,582, an increase of 4,069.
Chairperson,
common assault, we had
Chairperson.
General.
Morning, Chairperson. Can we just get the slides correct, because we're only on slide 1 now.
Yeah, General, the slides are not moving.
Is it showing the table now?
Shows slide 1 and it's not on slideshow. If you can put it on slideshow.
And then you say allow. And then you can share now. You just open your presentation. Okay, what you do, just open your presentation, yes. And then you can just do this presentation here. You can just ask what this
Is it visible now?
It's visible. Let's see whether it will move. Yeah.
Is it moving?
Yeah. Let's just continue and see. We'll see as we progress. Yeah, it's moving.
Okay.
Can you see that, honorable members? Honorable members, can you see that?
Yes, we can see it.
Yes, Honorable Siabe.
Okay. Let's move on, General.
All right. Let me restart again on this particular table. For the current quarter covering the period 1st of October 2022 to December 2022, we have recorded 7,555 murders, an increase of 696. Sexual offenses, we had 15,545, an increase of 1,357. Attempted murder, we had 7,061 and 716, an increase of 1,371. Then assault GBH, we had 50,582, an increase of 4069. Common assault, we had 52,741, an increase of 5,660. Common robbery, we had 12,752, an increase of 2,228. Then robbery with aggravating circumstances, 37,829, an increase of 3,686. Overall, for the total contact crimes, we have recorded 184,020 with an increase of 19,067. The breakdown of the rapes, which have already been touched upon under sexual offenses. For the rapes, we had 12,419, an increase of 1,104. Sexual assault, 2,154, an increase of 85. Attempted sexual offenses, 763, an increase of 239. Contact sexual offenses, 209, a decrease of 71. Then the subcategories of robbery with aggravating circumstances, which we had already alluded to under the robbery with aggravating circumstances. And in this, we now give the breakdown. We have a carjacking with 5,608, an increase of 153. Robbery at residential premises, 6,256, an increase of 496. Robbery at non-residential premises, we had 4,983, a decrease of 155. Then these are the crimes which are called the trio crimes. Together, if you add the carjacking, robbery, res, and robbery non-res, you have the cumulative sum of 16,847 with an increase of 494. Then robbery of cash in transit, we had 57 counts, which are 3 less than the previous quarter. We also had one case of bank robbery, which is 5 less than the previous quarter. Truck hijacking, we had 492, which is 44 more than the previous quarter. Then looking at the crimes per capita, whereby we take the contact crimes against a person and divide by the total population of the country to establish the per capita of the crimes, we had 12.4 per capita, or 12.4 per 100,000 in terms of murders. For robberies, we had 20.3 per 100,000. Attempted murders, we had 11.5 per 100,000. Assault GBH, we had 82.8 per 100,000. Common assault, we had 86.4 per 100,000. Common robbery, we had 20.9 per 100,000. Then completing the table, starting with contact-related crimes, we had a decrease in terms of arson of 32 counts less. Malicious damage to property had an increase of 598. Then the total contact-related crimes increased with 566 cases. That is from 31,621 to 32,187. Then property-related crimes, starting with burglary at non-residential premises, we had an increase of 1,878. Burglary at residential premises, an increase of 2,956. We had a decrease in terms of theft of motor vehicle and motorcycle of 325. Then theft out of or from motor vehicle, an increase of 2,003. Stock theft, there was an increase of 42, and overall, the property-related crimes increased by 6,554 from 91,450 to 98,004, resulting in a percentage increase of 7.2. Then other serious crimes, all theft not mentioned elsewhere, increased by 6,933. Commercial crimes increased by 1,390. Shoplifting increased by 2,437. Then total other serious crimes increased by 10,760. Then the 17 community reported serious crimes increased by 36,947. Then crime detected as a result of police action where the desired direction of change is an increase, meaning that the police have gone out and arrested or detected period in the previous financial year. We had more possession, arrests for illegal possession of firearms and ammunition, whereby we increased that by 545. We also increased the detection of drug-related crimes by 6,451. Driving under the influence of alcohol or drugs decreased by 2,233. Sexual offenses increased by, as a result of police action, increased by 798, and total crime detected as a result of police action increased by 5,561. Then a graphical presentation of the 17 community reported crimes for the current period. We had an increase in the month of October of 14,649, and another increase of 8,197 in the month of November. In the month of December, we had an increase of 14,101, and all the provinces recorded increases when looking at the 17 community reported serious crimes. Then looking at the 17 community reported crimes, top 30 stations. So that's inside here. 17 community reported serious crimes. I need to just explain that in the first column, it is the position at the RSA. That is when we take all the stations in South Africa and look at the total volumes of crime that have been reported in the particular station, then you rank them in a descending order, starting with the highest number of reported crimes at the national level. Then in the second row, we had the position of the station when only looking in terms of the particular province in which the station is situated. So using the RSA position, which is column 1, we see that the station with the highest number of crimes that have been reported for the 17 community reported crimes is Cape Town Central. The second highest is Mitchell's Plain. The third highest is Johannesburg Central. The fourth highest is Durban Central. Fifth highest is Park Road. Then if you look at the provincial position, all the stations that are in the top 5 at the national level are also the highest stations within their respective provinces, with the exception of Mitchell's Plain, which is at number 2 when you look at the Mitchell's Plain within the Western Cape. And all the top 5 provinces have recorded increases. Then Next slide, we look at the breakdown of the contact crimes. These are the crimes whereby the desired victim is a person, or these are the crimes that are aimed at the person. Looking at the contact crimes, which is the sum total of all the contact crimes, which is your murder, attempted murder, robbery aggravating, robbery common assault, and robbery with aggravating circumstances, together with the total sexual offenses combined. For the month of October, we had an increase of 8,384. For the month of November, we had an increase of 2,690. The month of December, we had an increase of 7,993. And all the provinces have recorded increases when it comes to the phenomenon of contact crimes. And then at the bottom of that particular slide, I presume that it is visible. You can see the contribution per province to the total contact crimes. The highest contributor per province in terms of the contact crimes was the province of Gauteng with 27.2. The second highest was the Western Cape with 17.3%. Then the third highest was the province of Eastern Cape with 11.1 contribution to the contact crimes. Then the top 30 stations for the contact crimes, again, the analogy is that the first column gives the RSA position, the second column gives the provincial position. Using the RSA position, we see that Johannesburg Central was the station which had the highest number of contact crimes reported in the current quarter. The second highest was Mfuleni in the Western Cape, then followed by Alexander in Gauteng. Number 4 was Nyanga, and then Tembisa at number 5. Those are the stations that make up the top 5 stations in terms of contact crimes, and all the top 5 stations have recorded increases when it comes to this particular crime phenomenon. Then looking at the causative factors from the respective samples that we have undertaken for the selected crimes, that is your murder, attempted murder, and assault, GBH. For the murders, we analyzed a sample of 7,337. For attempted murder, we analyzed a sample of 6,401. Assault GBH, we analyzed a sample of 32,762. Then focusing only on the murder causative factors, we see that for the murders, we have sorted the causative factors in descending order, starting with the highest causative factor that was indicated for the murder or for the crime of murder. The highest number of causative factors in terms of murders was attributable to argument or misunderstanding, road rage or provocation. The second highest was vigilantism or mob justice with 536. Retaliation and punishment was at number 3 with 413. Robberies was 403. Then gang-related was 272, of which the majority of these gang-related murders was in the province of the Western Cape. Then jumping on to assault GBH, we had argument and misunderstanding being attributable to 19,434, vigilantism or mob justice 464, retaliation or revenge 1,759, robberies 472, gang-related 18, and taxi-related 12. Then looking at the place of occurrence, one thing that I need to emphasize when looking at the place of occurrence is that when we were releasing Q3 crime statistics, there seemed to have been misunderstanding, more especially when we looked at the murders that have taken place at the agricultural land plot, farm plot or small holdings, where it was misunderstood that these are presumed to be farm murders. What this slide is trying to show, it simply shows instances whereby the murder has taken place at a particular place. So if you take into consideration that 88 murders had taken place at agricultural land, for them to qualify as farm murders or farm attacks, they also have to meet the criteria of farm attacks, whereby it indicates that such a matter should be geared towards the destabilization of the commercial operation of the farm. So these matters that happened at agricultural land, farm, and plot, they also include instances whereby the farm dwellers can kill each other after having a binge or drinking session, or also include instances whereby there is domestic violence between people who are staying on these farms. So I hope that clarifies the issue in terms of why is it different between the place where the matter occurred and the farm matter. Now, looking at the matters, we had most of the matters having been attributable to have taken place at public places, street, open field, recreational, parks, beach, and abandoned buildings. 3,467 were indicated to have taken place at such places. 2,003 of the matters have taken place at the residence of the victim or perpetrator, including residents known by victims, perpetrators, e.g. family, friends, and neighbors. 304 of the matters have taken place at the facility where alcohol is being sold. Then we had 118 matters having taken place at business premises. We have 109 matters having taken place at tuck shops or spaza shops. 86 matters having taken place at agricultural land. Then we also had 22 matters in the mining area. Similar to the agricultural land farm, when you look at educational institution, we had 12 matters that have taken place at educational institution. And again, this does not imply that these 12 people that were murdered at educational facilities are all school children or their learners or their teachers, although they include instances whereby some of the victims or some of the perpetrators could have been school-going children and educators. So we had 12 of the matters having taken place at educational institutions. Then looking at the crimes against women and children, starting with the women on the left-hand side, we had 1,101 matters of women, that is a count difference or an increase of 199. Attempted matters, we had 1,636 for women, that is 396 counts more. For assault GBH, we had 17,271, an increase of 1,579. And with regard to children, we had 319 of the matters where there were children aged between 0 and 17 years, both boys and girls, resulting in a decrease of 33. Attempted matters, we had 488 for children, an increase of 94. Then for assault GBH, we had 2,039, a decrease of 9 when compared to the previous court. Then looking at the breakdown of the matters over the three months period, in the month of October, we had an increase of 281 matters. In the month of October, we had an increase of 220 matters. In the month of December, we had an increase of 195 matters, and all the provinces, with the exception of Limpopo, recorded increases. Limpopo recorded a decrease of 27 counts less, from 290 to 263 in the current court. Then applying the population estimate on the matters, that is taking into consideration the total population of that particular province and doing the per capita matters, we see that the province with the highest per capita matter is the province of Eastern Cape with 22.5 per 100,000, Western Cape with 16.5 per 100,000, KwaZulu-Natal with 15.6 per 100,000, Gauteng 10.6 per 100,000, Free State and the Northern Cape with 9.3 and 9.2 per 100,000 respectively, Northwest and Mpumalanga with 7.3 and 7.2 per 100,000, and Limpopo, the least per capita ratio with 4.4 per 100,000. Then a graphical representation of the matters, whereby we also indicated the total population of the respective provinces and did the same computation whereby we took the total number of matters that had been reported in the particular province divided by the population of that particular province from the mid-year population estimate using the 2021 series and multiplied by 100,000 to be able to determine per capita ratio of the matters. We showed that the direction of change is indicated by whether the circle is green or red, where the green would indicate an increase, the red would indicate an increase, and the green would indicate a decrease, and the size of the circle would indicate the per capita for that particular province. Again, confirming what the previous slide indicated, we had the Eastern Cape with the highest per capita matter of 22.5. The second highest was the Western Cape with 16.5, and KwaZulu-Natal at number 3 with 15.6 per 100,000. Limpopo at 4.4 per 100,000 of the matters. Then the top 30 station, again, we indicated at the national and provincial level, using the provincial position, the national position, we had the highest station, or the station which recorded the highest number of matters is in Fuleni with 89. The second highest is Inanda in KwaZulu-Natal with 87 matters in the current quarter. Delft is at number 3 with 86 matters. Places Lion at number 4 with 74 matters, and then Nyanga at number 5 with 68 matters. And all the top 5 matter stations have recorded increases with regard or when compared to the previous period. Then we have already indicated the causative factors in the previous slide. This one simply indicates and shows you where within the province were these particular causative factors. We've seen that the argument and misunderstanding was the highest causative factor, and the province of KwaZulu-Natal was the one which indicated that they had more matters attributable to argument and misunderstanding. The second causative factor was mob justice or vigilantism, whereby we had 536 of the matters attributable to vigilantism or mob justice, and KwaZulu-Natal was the highest with 118 of the matters attributable to mob justice. The third causative factor, which had 413 matters, was retaliation or revenge. Then again, KwaZulu-Natal was indicated to have recorded the highest number of matters, which is one. The Western Cape was the highest with 166, whereby the causative factor was indicated as retaliation or revenge. Then gang-related, we had 272, whereby we had the Western Cape indicating that there were 229 matters. Then the second highest was the Eastern Cape with 23 of the matters. Then in the next slide, we look at the instances whereby there were multiple matters. The first column, which indicates count of victims ranging from 2 up to 7, those are instances whereby there were more than one person killed in one incident, whereby the 2 would indicate 2 bodies in one scene, the 3 would indicate 3 bodies in one scene, the 4 would indicate 4 bodies in one scene, and the 7 would indicate 7 bodies in one scene. We had 7 matters that had been indicated in the province of the Eastern Cape, whereby one incident where 7 people were killed in the Eastern Cape, and also we had 1 incident where 7 people were killed in the Gauteng province. Where 6 people were killed in one incident, we had the Eastern Cape indicating 1 such incident, Gauteng with 1 incident, and also KwaZulu-Natal, which indicated 1 incident where 6 people were killed. For 5 incidents, we had the Eastern Cape with 1, KwaZulu-Natal with 1, and then we had the others indicating that there were 4 bodies in 1 incident, Eastern Cape with 2, Gauteng 2, KwaZulu-Natal 2, Northwest 1, and the Western Cape 1. In total, we have had 665 people that were killed and 294 dockets were opened for these murders. Now, zooming into the circumstances around where these particular 7 bodies were killed, the one incident where 7 people were killed was in the station BG, which was robbery related. The circumstances around that was that armed men stormed into the family's home and demanded burial society funds that had allegedly been dropped off earlier as they were preparing to bury one family member. So the perpetrators entered and shot and killed 7 family members who were aged between the ages of 29 and 68. Then the second 7 victims was in Enadale, where 7 people were shot dead when 4 suspects tried to rob street vendors who were selling chicken feet. The vendors resisted and threw stones at the suspect. The suspect drove off and came back on foot and shot the vendors and the bystanders. Then we had a possible drug-related incident whereby 6 victims were killed, whereby 6 men aged between the ages of 39 and 40 who were traveling in a taxi were ambushed by unknown suspects who opened fire, fatally wounding the victims. 5 died at the scene and 1 died at the hospital. We also had 6 victims which were suspected to be drug-related, whereby 6 people aged between the age of 25 and 35 were shot dead inside the house by unknown suspect, and also a 3-year-old child who was left unharmed. The crime scene is alleged to have been a drug post. So those are the instances whereby we had more victims that were killed in one incident. Then when we looked at the weapon that had been used in the commission of the murders, we had firearms having been used to kill 3,144. And this does not imply that 3,144 firearms were used, because we had seen in the previous slide that there is a possibility that 1 firearm can be used to kill multiple people. So this slide simply indicates instances whereby people were killed or shot, and 3,144 of such victims succumbed to the gunshot wounds. Then knives were the second highest weapon that was used, which was used in 1,263. Sub-instruments were used in 654. Then we also had bricks and stones that were used in 108 incidents. Then murders of members of the police, we had 25 police officers that were killed. We had 26 that were killed in the current quarter. In the previous quarter, we had 27. That is a decrease of 1 murder. And then when you look at the months, we had 2 less police officers killed in the month of October, 1 less killed in the month of November, and 2 more killed in the month of December. Then we also had instances in the little squares which indicate whether the officers were on or off duty. Then in the next slide, we had murders of a farming community. We had 11 murders in the current quarter, which is the same number of murders in the previous quarter, resulting in a case difference of 0. And we had a decrease in the month of October, 1 less, another decrease in the month of November, 1 less, and an increase in the month of November, 2 counts more. And then when we now move on to the rate, we had an increase of 630 rapes in the month of October, another increase of 16 in the month of November. Then we also had an increase of 458 in the month of December, and all the provinces with the exception of Mpumalanga recorded a decrease in the all the provinces recorded increase with the exception of Mpumalanga, which recorded a decrease of 97. Then the stations, we had top 30. Number 1 is Inanda, number 2 Lusukisiki, number 3 Harare, number 4 Toyando, number 5 is Umlazi, making up the top 5 national stations. Then then for place of occurrence, we had rapes, most rapes taking place at the residence of the perpetrator, 5,935, public places, 1,917, mode of transport, 286, abandoned buildings, 99, and the rest can be seen from that particular slide. Then contact crimes, we had 304 murders taking place at places where alcohol is sold, 82 rapes taking place at the taverns where alcohol is sold. Then we also had instances of 315 murders whereby alcohol was used and 15 where drugs were used in the commission of the murders. Then the murders and rapes at educational institutions, we had 49 rapes at educational institutions and 10 murders at schools. We also had 2 rapes at daycare center and 1 murder at the daycare center. Special pool, we had 2 rapes. Then domestic violence, we had we had 305 domestic murders or murders that were attributable to domestic violence, of which 157 were female, 148 were male. Then we had 1,191 of the rapes where they were domestic related. Then 63 victims were female, were male, and 1,128 were female. Then the subcategories of robbery with aggravating circumstances, the provinces that had recorded decreases in terms of carjacking was the province of Gauteng, Mpumalanga, and the Northern Cape. Gauteng reduced by 192 in terms of carjacking, Mpumalanga 75, and the Northern Cape 3, and the other provinces recorded increases. Then the top stations was Nyanga, Harare, KwaZakele, Olivenwood-Bosch, and Ivory Park, making up the top 5 carjacking stations. The type of vehicles that were carjacked were sedans, hatchback, and coupe, which were hijacked in 2,814 incidents, panel vans in 1,697, and the rest can be seen from that slide. Then robbery at the residential premises, the only province that recorded a decrease was the Western Cape with 119. The other provinces recorded increases. Then the top 30 stations in terms of robbery at the residential premises are led by places Liar, number 2 Kwadukuza, number 3 Tembisa, number 4 Olivenwood-Bosch, 5 Mondio. Then robbery at non-residential premises, the provinces that recorded decreases was Eastern Cape, Free State, Limpopo, Mpumalanga, and the Western Cape. The other provinces recorded increases. Then the top 30 stations for robbery at non-residential premises are led by Johannesburg Central. Number 2 is Pound Town. Number 3 is Toyando. Number 4, Kempton Park, and Witbank at number 5. Then cash in transit robberies, we had an increase in the month of October of 6 counts more. Then we had decreases in November and December of 4 and 5 respectively. Then the type of cash in transit robberies, we had most of the cross pavements having taken place in the Gauteng with 18, and then also when the armored vehicle on the road was again Gauteng with 8, and the rest can be obtained from that slide. Truck hijacking, we had decreases in Free State, Limpopo, Northwest, and the Western Cape. Then the top stations in truck hijacking mostly are in Gauteng. Number 1 is in Mpumalanga, that is Delmas. Number 2, Orange Farm, Alberton, Germiston, and Kempton Park, making up the top 5. Then kidnapping, whereby the kidnapping is the means to an end and not where the kidnapping is a modus operandi like in carjacking. In this instance, we focused only on instances whereby the kidnapping itself was the means to achieve the crime. We looked at the kidnapping for ransom, whereby the ransom was demanded. We had 128 of those, and most was in the Gauteng province with 76. Then we also had kidnapping for human trafficking with 12 instances, and extortion, we had 23 instances. Then this is the breakdown of the kidnappings. We had an increase of 7, 29, and 6 in the month of October, November, and December, respectively. Then we also had instances of court diversions whereby the resources of the police were used to go and police other instances whereby we had most of these happening in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, with 423 of the incidents deemed to be peaceful and 90 deemed to be unrest. We also had 403 peaceful incidents in Gauteng and 97 unrest. Then we also had 160 in the Western Cape peaceful and 36 that were deemed to be unrest. Then this slide gives a comparison of all the provinces at a glance together with the RSA tables. For instance, if you look at the murders, we see that for the Eastern Cape, we had recorded 1,501 murders. In the direction of change, if it is red, it indicates that it is more than what was recorded in the previous quarter. Similarly, Free State 275, which is more than the previous quarter. Gauteng 1,721, which is more than the previous quarter. Limpopo 263, which is less than the previous quarter. And the rest can be seen from that particular comparison for all the provinces and across all the crime types. And these are the second part of the crimes whereby the analogy is the same. Then one thing that is also worth mentioning is that we had more crime detected as a result of police action in the current quarter, whereby we had all provinces recording more arrests for illegal possession of firearms and ammunition, and also drug-related crimes. The sexual offenses, also most of the provinces recorded higher detection when compared to the previous period. And driving under the influence of alcohol was increased in the province of the Western Cape only. And that was the last of my slides. I thank you.
Chairperson, I'm handing over to you. That was the last slide. Thank you. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you very much, General and Minister. I'm going to allow honorables some few minutes just to ask questions, but just to remind you, honorable members, that we have a scheduled engagement on the crime statistics next week, Wednesday, on the 22nd of February, where we'll discuss fully the implications of the statistics. Today is a pre-briefing before the minister can brief the nation. Having said that, I'm going to allow you just to ask a few questions, noting that we're still going to have a full discussion next week. Honorable Whitfield.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I will be very brief. I think that it would be useful, and we can take it further next week. It would be very useful for the Minister just to appraise the committee of developments within crime intelligence and what capacity crime intelligence has. And the reason I raise this, Chair, is because I'm greatly appreciative of the South African Police Service for providing us with some of the statistics on the mass killings where more than one person was killed in an incident. But I specifically refer to Biki outside of Mthatha in the Eastern Cape, where after I visited that police station last year, it was clear that there are gangs that operate on a regular basis, raping, terrorizing, assaulting, murdering, and stealing stock from rural villages in the surrounds. That police station cannot be accessed unless you have a 4x4 when it rains. And there's only one Land Cruiser at that police station to access these deep rural areas. So aside from crime intelligence, the basic resources in our rural communities expose, I think, to some extent, the shortcomings of the rural safety strategy and how effective that is. But I would really appreciate some insights into the work that crime intelligence is doing when places like Biki have been a problem for many, many years when it comes to persistent and active gangs which should have been immobilized many years ago. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Whitfield. I think that's the only hand I see. Okay. Honorable Sheikh Imam, followed by Linda Moss.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and thank you for the presentation. Given the fact that there's been a considerable or significant increase in these crimes, could you tell us perhaps whether you have the capacity at detective level to deal with this problem, given the fact that some detectives are sitting with as much as 200 dockets at any given time? And more importantly, many of your experienced and skilled officers are now being recruited by Metro Police or law enforcement with better perks and benefits. How are you going to try and mitigate against it, try and deal with this escalation in crime? And lastly, Chairperson, I just wanted to know, a very important point is during this load shedding, having spoken to many police stations, they're having great difficulty in an alternative energy supply wherever there are generators and things that have been provided through public works. In many instances, they don't work and things like that. The entire process is so laborious that these police stations are helpless. And it looks like that is when crime picks up, because police are at a very vulnerable situation. I'll stop there. Thank you.
Okay, Honorable Linda Moss.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, for the opportunity. I would first like to say is that this very important report, we're not supposed to have so little time. In the future, I think a proper session must be arranged where we get in this report so that we can actually peruse the report much properly and also to engage in this report. Yes, I must say I'm a little bit disturbed on the issue of the murders, particularly in the Western Cape, where I listened to the State of the Nation address and I observed the engagement and the debate on the State of the Nation address, where people deny that the Western Cape, the issue of safetiness, the issue of murders, the issue of a lot of things is the best. But today I see it is not the best. Mfuleni, where I visited that area in December, I observed that crime is very high in that area. And I would love to hear what is the plan of Mfuleni and the strategy, and how much is the law enforcement in that area, because I also observed that law enforcement from the city of Cape Town is also working in that area. But to see today that Mfuleni's murder has actually increased and the crime is very high. The second place is also Nyanga. Nyanga is for the last, I think, is for the last more than 5 years always on the agenda of the government. And what is the plan of the area of Langa on the issue of resources? And because there's no fuel trains. Then also, I was also hearing that the car hijacking was taking place all the years in Gauteng and Mpumalanga. Now I hear also the Northern Cape is also increasing on the issue of car hijacking. But I must say, Minister, I hope that 10,000 new police, when they are finished with the training, that we must look to share it in those provinces where they need it. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Moss. Honorable Groenewald.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I'm going to short, and I don't know how many times I must ask it. I've previously asked on the farm murders. Can we also get the farm attacks? I've looked at the causative matters and explained on small holdings, farms, and all that sort of things, but it is not farm attacks. Now, can I get a clear answer from the police this morning? Are we going to get the statistics for farm attacks, or are you telling me we're not going to give it to you? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Groenewald. I see somebody, Henry's iPhone. Who's that one? Henry's iPhone.
Honorable Shembeni.
Oh, Honorable Shembeni, come in.
Yes, thank you very much, Chair. I will start firstly by I did not hear much about these border crimes, the highly crossings and the kidnappings by the borders, especially the borders between South Africa and Mozambique. There by Libombo, there are many instances of kidnappings that were being reported in such a way that even protests. But I did not hear anything about that. Number two, the vehicle crossings. It seems as if again, it has started escalating. Since we've noticed in the previous days that where vehicles were seized by the border. Number three, the murders, the mass killings in South Africa for our people. It's a very much concern. I would like to hear about that as to how the police going to stop this thing. The firearms, illegal firearms in our country. I'll be asking this question for the second time. The types of firearms that are being used, are they being properly checked? When I ask the type of firearms, I mean the AK-47 is obvious. It's not a licensed South Africa. So these are the types of firearms that would like to know that what types of firearms have been used in those crimes. And then so that we can focus on the country of origin, where these firearms are coming from, how are they entering South Africa. So I think those are the things that I think we must look at. And then the gang-related crimes, the gangs in South Africa, this goes without saying that we don't have crime intelligence. We can't be having people well-known gangs to say this, it's a gang. It's well-known, this, it's a boss. And so on. So what are we doing as police officers? Because if there is a gang and there are bosses, obviously these people have got firearms. Now our intelligence must work day and night to make sure that they get these people during their meetings. They do thorough searches. They do arrests. They must have their so-called people on the ground, like whistleblowers. We do have whistleblowers, yes, but I don't want to say whistleblowers. I want to talk about informers. I don't know whether our police are still utilizing the informers the way they're supposed to. Because if you go down there and check, you will find an investigator without an informer. And that is true. Or either you will find an investigator with a file of an informer that is not serviced. Servicing an informer, I mean, meeting with your informer regularly to get information. But now our police are having informers for the sake of having informers, just to present to the so-called now the managers.
Or round off.
Thank you very much.
Shembeni, as a round off.
Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Okay. Honorable Terplanch.
Chairperson, good morning, and thank you for the opportunity. Chairperson, I found myself this morning, and it's no fault of somebody else. I found myself out in the wilderness. I haven't been able to connect, and then I battled to, finally get sound. IT assisted me with that, so I didn't hear a lot of this presentation. Chairperson, the one thing that I want to mention is that it's very difficult if we don't get the presentation before the actual presentation, because then you come into this meeting totally blind, and I think that, that is something that we need to address. Chairperson, then the Honorable Moss, somebody touched already about the crimes on the borders, and I haven't seen, going through it quickly, a lot about that, and it is really becoming a serious problem. And Chairperson, then lastly, lately we also heard about a lot of crimes where police officials were involved. That's confirmed cases. And then again, also people, dressed in police uniform. And I'm just wondering whether we can get an indication of where those sort of circumstances are applicable. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Terplanch. Can I request honorables to lower your hands if it's an old one? Yeah, Honorable Whitfield, Honorable Sheikh Imam, and Honorable Shembeni. Unless if they are new hands, please lower them. Right, Honorable Minister, I've already indicated that we're going to have a full discussion, engagement on the statistics next week, Wednesday. And I guess by now, members have received the presentation so that you prepare for the meeting next week. But members have asked some few questions. Can we respond to them, Honorable Minister? Honorable Minister? Deputy Minister?
Can you hear me, Chair, now?
Yeah, we can hear you now, Minister.
No, thanks, Chair. We are sitting with the police here. We don't need to admit ourselves. When they keep it detained, police they decide when to speak and when to speak. Chair, as you have said, that we're going to get discussion come Wednesday with some other issues that have been raised when we receive this kind of presentation. I'm sure we'll be able to talk and resolve such matters. Some question I get, especially from Honorable Member Shembeni, is really in-depth questions. that I'm sure he would not fight us if we rework or work the responses on the day and some of those questions. As I've said, that the provincial commissioners are here, divisional commissioners. But I would like to touch on the first one by Honorable Member Whitfield about the beach thing. I hope the member understands that on the matter of 7 people, about 5 people are in custody on those. Those people were arrested. There is a second matter there of 3 people which we have done an arrest. You would want, indeed, the logistics are quite difficult there. Most of the roads, you can't even drive them with the 4x4s. And as he says, he has been there, even 4x4s can't drive on those roads. There's a big forest there. You can't enter, you need helicopter and all that kind. So those are the things that sometimes will raise the question of environmental design. But the cause, one thing that has been proved to be an issue there, provincial commissioner is here. Where people die there, there is a village collection, Mr. Honorable Member. There is a village collection to assist in that particular community. And it does look like that collection begin to attract criminals. Wherever there is money, there's a dead body, people ready to go for burial, and that man is in the house. That seems to be the reason. I think we'll have to try to work with the communities to find the new ways rather than keeping that collection in the house, to find the reason, what can we do with it, because definitely it does attract the criminals to go and deal with those matters. The question of guns, again, as Honorable Chairman has raised it, and we need the intent. But Honorable Members, as we're sitting here, there is a crime scene. What place is that? Malmesbury. On Malmesbury, here in Western Cape, I think it's along N7. There is a crime scene that started about 10, 11 last night. It's still hot now. There is a naturalized somebody from Europe here. He has been found in the house with 42 guns, with 2 vans full of ammunition. As we speak, we are trying to open the safes because we believe that those safes are full of guns. It's called powder, it's doing refilling and all that, which means besides these guns crossing the borders, now we've got factories that are produced by the naturalized, is a former soldier, German, this guy, who's got a warehouse where he's doing this thing. He lives alone, but it doesn't seem to be working alone. So those are the things that we're working on. So the in-depth of where these guns come from, it will be very important. Some they cross the border. Some, as you can see, they are manufactured now and the ammunition refilled. Some are stolen from different places, and some are stolen from the jet owners as individuals. So I think we have to put that on table and better analysis as we come. But the other thing that has been raised about the numbers of people that are killed by the guns, illegal firearms in South Africa. But I'm sure as you look at your report, 3,000 people have been killed by the guns, 2,500 have been killed by other means, including knives. It tells you that we'll have to deal with the human element. We'll have to deal with South Africans, because even if they don't have guns, they still find a way of murdering people. So it's one area that together we'll have to deal with. The other one, which I think we're getting saturated and exhausted on it, is the rape and murder, especially the rape. Where are these people raped in their own houses? If you look at that figure, it's a very high figure again of people that are raped in their houses. And then it's where they get there and absolutely not safe in their own houses. I will request that maybe the presenter explain the Honorable Froneval's question, or we prepare for it to respond, if can't respond today, to respond as we meet on the next meeting. The question of capacity on the detectives, again, I'll request that the National Commissioner comes with an answer, but we fully concur with what has been raised by the member on those problems. And as such, we are trying to work on it, maybe again, on the capacity, on the ratio of dockets, on their welfare, their well-being as a group of people. We all agree that is a very disadvantaged group of people, and those are the people that at the highest experience level, we find ourselves losing them. So something must be done. Alternative energy, as you know, that is not only us. We work with other sister departments on these matters. We'll have to work that in a much elaborate response as we meet again. The issue of provincial strength in terms of police and the prestations and the top 20 as the province, top 30 national, and how provincial commissioners are working on that. We'd like them to prepare and make the mini presentations. How are they going to deal with those things and themselves? So that will be the preliminary response, Chair, with the hope that will go thorough come the next encounter. Thanks very much.
Thanks very much, Minister. There are some questions you referred to the National Commissioner. Can you come in?
Thanks, and good morning, Honorable Chairperson and honorable members, the Minister of Police, Deputy Minister of Police. Yes, it is true, Honorable Chair members, most of our detectives are clearing more dockets. Hence, we are increasing the capacity to ensure that in future we alleviate the problem. As we speak, we do have over 300 police that are undergoing the basic detective course, and we will continue skilling and reskilling them so that we increase the capacity. I think that was the only question that I remember. With regard to the cross-border crime, yes, we have deployments, both the SANDF and police, across those two borders that the honorable member Shafin referred to, the Mpumalanga border as well as the Northern Mozambique border. Thank you very much for the question.
Do we still have any response?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. The issue of farmer tax, I think maybe one needs to also indicate the fact that the cause of this phenomenon is not necessarily defined in law. The definition is a peer-agreed definition, which is derived by the Rural Safety Coordinating Committees, which meet on a regular basis to determine cases whether they meet the definition of act of violence or against persons in rural area. And from the strategy that they have come up with, they define act of violence against persons in the rural areas as, for the purpose of reporting act of violence against persons living in rural areas, including farms and small holding. It refers to the acts aimed at persons residing in, working in, or visiting rural areas, whether they intend to murder, rape, rob, or inflict bodily harm. In addition, all acts of violence against the infrastructure and property in the rural community, which is aimed at disrupting farming or other commercial concerns, irrespective of whether the motives are related to the commission of other crimes, ideology, land dispute, land issues, revenge, grievances, racist concerns, or intimidation are included in this definition. Cases related to domestic violence or liquor abuse or resulting from commonplace social interaction between people are excluded from the definition. That is where we derived the statistics that we use to report on farm matters. So we rely mostly on the provincial rural safety coordinators. However, that being said, on the slide that we have provided, the matter of the farming community, we also indicated attacks which happened together with the murders. And if you look at that slide, we also had 6 robberies at residential premises, 1 rape, and 1 stock theft. However, we will also try to have instances whereby these crimes happen independently in time, irrespective of the murders, and make them available separate. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think, as we said, because we are engaging next week, the minister promises that maybe you'll start next week. You'll start with the presentation of these questions in a more detailed way. The issue of crime intelligence. I know you have tried to answer capacity at detective level, the impact of load shedding on the work of police stations, the strategies that you are going to employ, especially looking at the top 30 police stations, the deployment of the 10,000 police officers who have just qualified, more detail on farm attacks, more details on farm attacks, and the more details on the border crimes, the kidnapping there, the murders, vehicles crossing, and the strategy on the police officials that are involved in some of these crimes, so that when we meet next week, we start there, and then we can then have a proper discussion, so that we don't delay you now as you prepare for the presentation to meet with the media. Will that be in order, Minister? National Commissioner?
Can you hear me, Chairperson?
Yes. Minister?
Chairperson, yes. Yes, it is in order, but I must say now that we shouldn't fight with Honorable Mr. Whitefield, because the question he asked are the questions that might not be fully answered in the kind of an open platform. So we'll see what we do, but at the same time, understanding the environment where it's raising these questions on, that it might give us a little bit of problem. But the other one that is the analysis of availability of firearms, I think is one area that we'll have to work and share with the community. Thank you very much, Chair.
Okay. Yeah, if we can just prepare thoroughly so that we start with all these questions that the honorables have answered and see how far we can go, then we go into engagement. Having said that, I don't know whether honorable members you still have something urgent that you want to raise. Otherwise, we're moving towards closing the meeting. And then we'll go through the presentation thoroughly between today and Wednesday. And on Wednesday, we'll be able to get into discussions. The SAPs will also prepare a presentation as a way of answering these questions that were not answered today, because some of the questions are saying they need to do more to get more information from their offices, like the issue of farmer tax. If we can try to clarify that once and for all, so that we don't have this question, like Honorable Groenewald says, I'm always asking this question, so that we don't have this question now and then, so by Wednesday, we try to clarify most of these questions. Having said that, I think honorables are agreeing with me. We can then close the meeting and say we'll meet again next week, Wednesday, where we'll discuss the presentation of crime statistics in details. Thanks very much. The meeting is closed. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you. Thanks very much.
Recording stopped.